Hello, and welcome to the Divine Darkness podcast, where we are going to walk towards the light together, bringing in more awareness, opening our abilities, and discussing all different realms of spirituality. Take a seat, open your heart, and get ready for this energetic shift to happen.
Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing with Macci, interviewing her on her spiritual journey and kind of diving into what's been going on collectively too, because I'm sure we've all been feeling the heavy energy and just experiencing maybe over the past year. So Macci, I've known you for a while. We met through, it was very strange, just the energy. I knew I was going to like know you, if that makes sense. We met on a coaching program, and when I saw her, I was like, for some reason, I felt like I knew you, but we've never met. And I remember messaging you, and come to find out, she's from this town that I grew up in, like right in that community. So that
Yeah.
was wild. I was like, I knew there was something drawing me to you, right? And I just knew it. And it was really, 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 really amazing. But the journey, she's helped me through so much too with hypnotherapy and healings. So Machi does a lot from, I know that you've redirected what you're doing, but she's done a lot with intuitive energy healing and coaching and profound hypnotherapy healings. And I want you to kind of reintroduce yourself if you want on what you're doing, because I don't even necessarily know much because you're so fresh with something new. So I'll let you
Yeah.
kind of dive into that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm happy to be here. But yeah, I just kind of want to take it back a few steps of like how I even got into this. So, um, I was not like quote unquote intuitive, I thought, right? Like we're all intuitive, but like it was blocked until it was 2021. And so this is like fairly new. 2021. And I was like, 39, turning 40 in August. And I was like, oh, I want to go into 40 being healed, right? That was my intention. So you set an intention like that. I didn't know what I was even saying. Like, I want to go into 40 being healed. Well, girl, buckle up, baby. And so that's kind of where I started my journey. I joined, a bunch of courses. One of them was Find Your Purpose. I was like, yeah, I want to find my purpose. I was working in corporate and finance for about 18 years, which was fine. Like it's for an auditing firm, but it wasn't like lighting me up, shall we say. It was like the same thing every year. And I was like, is this what it is? Is this life? Um, and so I joined this Find Your Purpose challenge. The girl had mentioned Reiki, like it wasn't even part of it. She was just like, "Oh, and then I got Reiki certified." Like it was worth the money I spent for that course just for that line because I'm like, "Oh, what Reiki near me?" I didn't even know what it was. Um, and so I joined a Reiki certification. I was hooked. Like within a month of being Reiki certified, um, I got promoted at work. I'm like, cool. Like it seemed like everything was just paths were opening up. I'm like, this is amazing. But it took a lot of courage too. It took a lot of courage to like step into that next level. What is this? Where am I going? But I was just following the breadcrumbs along the way, and I was being hypnotized myself, right? So I saw myself, and I'm still working in corporate, like on the PTO for my daughter's school. And now she's 2 at this time. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm like, I don't have time to do PTO. I don't even know how that would happen. Fast forward to today, I'm going to my first PTO meeting, by the way. Just wanted to put that in there. So I think all of that to say, like, during these healings and during like this introspective look that I was doing within myself, I was seeing things like you're going to write a book, but not believing it, right? Like, how can I write a book? Like, again, Fast forward a couple years, I'm an international best-selling author, co-author. But there was this imbalance of like not believing it, seeing it, but not believing it. And so that's where I was really starting to do the work. The work is like the shadow work, the energy healing work. I'm getting chills on all of this, right? Because like we might see a vision or know what we want to be, but there's this, how am I going to get there? And I think just being curious of the how, and staying open. And that's where consciousness, spirit, universe, right? There's all these terms. And that's where I kind of got lost too a little bit once I started heading into this spiritual work. Because let me tell you, it feels so good to be connected. It feels so good to be channeling love that I didn't want to be in the real world. I'm like, why would I want to feel so much pain and like look around when I can just, my job is to connect with spirit all day, every day, right? And I loved it. I loved it until this January. I feel like I'm just saying a lot in very little time, but a lot happened in 3 years. I want to try to like squeeze it all in before we get to this year. Um, I got, I took a course, and that's where I met Erica. And there I got certified as a spiritual hypnotherapist, spiritual teacher, and intuitive energy healing. I went on to teach that information. And then I went on to like hold space for thousands of women in healing circles that were learning this information. So they're going through their own transformation. And I'm like one person holding space for all of that change. And so in January, I just, I'm always evolving. And I said, God, universe, whatever is not meant to be, I'm ready to release it. Never in a million billion years did I think it was the community of women that I was serving. Those 2,000 women that were going through this change that, I was able to connect and just hold space and channel divine love and, other entities coming in to support with the healing. Um, and that was what was asked to be released. And that just turned my world kind of upside down because I'm like, well, if I'm not an energy healer and I'm not a hypnotherapist, like what am I? Who, what is this? I don't even see the next phase. And so it's really hard. It
Yeah.
was,
It sounds like during that time of that shift, you went right back down into your physical, like your emotion. And I think it was like that space, and I can relate to that 100%, like tenfold. Like that is so accurate, where you are wanting to connect, you're wanting to be in this space, but yet when it all, makes space for something new and something shifts, and you're not doing that and holding that space, it kind of spirits forcing you to see deeper into yourself of something that you probably didn't have that space to do, because we're always helping, we're always connecting, and you can access the higher realms all the time and be in a space of, not bypassing, but in a sense it is, because we're not fully integrating our own space. And I just feel like when spirit shows us that and what you experience, you come back 10 times stronger and be able to hold space in a different avenue, or in a space that feels completely, the same but not, right? Like it just, you can't really predict how it's going to look, even though we want to know. But I think that it leads us into so many different opportunities, and it sounds like it did for you. It's hard during that moment. It's hard during those moments of change or shifts to accept it and to be in that stillness of the unknown, as you called it many times, the void, right? And like
mhm.
I mean, I related to you and you know that. So it's pretty powerful situation going on collectively, and of course with your journey too, because so many of us don't really hear that. We don't really see that part of the healer and the medium and the channel. So it's really important. It's so important to make sure that you're facing those things that we're sharing for everyone else, because we're, we have to fill our cup. We have to be in that space for ourselves, and including our family and everyone else around us. So,
Yeah. And I think like one of the, for me personally, and this like others may relate to this, um, I was teaching about like reclaiming your power and like owning your power, but yet in a way, I was giving my power away to spirit. Because I'm like, well, spirit's like the one speaking through me. It's not me. Like I was giving my power away.
mm,
And basically it's like, no, 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 no. Like we're shutting it down. And that's what happened. No more signs.
yeah.
It like the signs were, it was too much. Like, because now I'm looking outside. Oh, there's a license plate, and there's this, and there's a cardinal, and there's a blue jay, and what does it mean? And it means, and like, it's all up here, right? And they're like, we're shutting it off. We love you. We're still with you. Like that was the message I got. We're still with you, but you have to take your power back and come into your body. And I'm like, it was sad. It was like grieving because
Very,
I'm like,
it was
that's
very sad. And I was going to ask you that, because in those moments, that's what I was going to ask you, of like how, almost to the point where it can make you feel a little depressed and you don't know if it's depression or what, but then it's like integration of trust. And you do have to live in the balance of 3D. Like you do, you came here to experience that. And I think most healers forget that space. And it's important to remember that you came here to enjoy all the things that we might be like, oh, well, I want to go in a higher realm right now. I don't want to deal with all that.
right. And it's easy to do, right? It's like, you know, okay, 1, 2, let me connect and shower that love and instantly feel that. Um, but you're right. I needed to integrate and I needed to remember why I came here because I didn't come here to have like 1 foot, what do they say? Like 1 foot on in the sky and one on a banana peel. Like I came here to be here on Earth. And I was forgetting that, like seriously forgetting that in the work that I was doing. And I know I was helping a lot of people, but at this point, it wasn't about the other people because in a way that was also feeding my ego. Like my ego was coming in, like I'm the one helping these people.
Mhm.
No, of course not. But that's what was starting to happen. And so what I did and am continuing to do is return to my body and return here. And so I started with breath work because for a few days too, I don't know if insane is the word, but I felt
Like it's
paranoid. Yeah, like I felt insane. Okay, I felt like very paranoid, very like confused, scared. I'm
Mhm.
like, what have I been channeling? Is it the devil's work? Like all like questioning everything. Um, and so I had to really come back to the basics. What is real for me right now? It like if I had said this at the time, I think I would have been locked up. That's how I felt. Like, what is real for me? The air that I'm breathing is real. And that's truly all I could say. And so I was like, okay, breath work it is. And so I just started follow like going to YouTube. There's one that I follow, and every day, twice a day, I would do breath work. And I would feel like back in my body, like, okay, I'm on the ground. This feels safe. Um, and so then from there, I'm like, okay, well, let me go through my stuff, you know? That seems to be real. There's physical manifestation of stuff in my house. And so little by little, I started decluttering. And I started with the room, I called it my Reiki room because that's where, when I started Reiki, it was my Reiki room. Like when I had one-on-one clients, whether they were physical or on Zoom, that's where we would do our sessions. And so I said, I'm not aligned to one-on-one work anymore. So why do I have this table here? Like there's no physical people either. Like I would act as if they were here. I was like, I could turn this into a spare bedroom. And so I did, clearing everything else, got rid of so much stuff. And then I loved that room. I would do my morning journaling and all this stuff. And then Spirit came back and they said, you love this room. Wait until you do your office. I'm like, okay. And so I really got on this journey of, okay, well, what do I want my office to feel like? And what's my inspiration? And like treating it like a sacred project. And so I was emptying the closets, finding, okay, I'm going to drop a bomb. I was arrested when I was 21. Never said that on a live, never told anyone. My family knows, but that's it, right? So I'm putting that out there because there was a lot of shame that came with that. It's 21st birthday. I got 5 charges on me. We won't get into the details, but yeah, arrested. Um, and I found the papers in the closet. Okay, so talk about like releasing
Mhm.
old energy, like all of this stuff is holding all of this energy of something that was in the past, of something that like I shamed myself for. And so it was massive. And the transformation that happened from doing that and then creating from a blank slate of like, well, what do I want to feel now going forward? And that's really where I was like tapping into creating the space and the transformation.
So do you think that was your physical coming into the 3D, spirits leading me to change the energy of my area where I'm at and listen to what feels right for me instead of being that channel for everyone else? The balance too in that you might have of not necessarily had, right? Giving so much to so many women, so many people, doing overwork, burning yourself out. All those things can factor. And when you come back home and you do these little things where you're even, I'm talking decluttering is like the best thing, right? Like I've been doing that all week. My son woke up and asked me. Does something to your energy, right? Like that is a known fact to your space. And you right there doing that is like, oh, now the frequency around you is like, now she's in receiving mode. Now she's in opportunity mode. Now she's in transition and embracing it. And that I'm sure led you to your new
Yes.
transition, right? Your new course.
Exactly. So it did. It opened up all of this space, right, for opportunities to come in, like this podcast, right? For me to say, like, okay, well, what do I want my days to look and feel like? And how do I want to share my energy and my gifts in a way that feels supportive for me? And it has to be supportive for me and my family first, Like we have to see where these energy leaks are. And the way I was working before, I was like constantly on my phone, like checking, okay, is everyone okay? Or like it was a lot of like t leaks, like energy leaks. And I'm glad for that opportunity. I'm glad that I had a chance to experience that so that now I can take what I've learned and what I loved from it and create something that feels like solid and like, yes, this is it. And so that's what I'm working on now is literally doing I'm still like creating, but it's taking everything that I've learned, like all the hypnosis, the healing, the energy healing, and packaging it in a way where someone can transform, whether it's, an energetic, like their physical, energetic, or mental body, and take these 7 pillars that I'm creating and literally go from step 1 to 7 to create a change. And so I'm going to start with the easiest one, which would be like physical. So, like if they could start in their bedroom or an office or wherever, and we take them through the steps of creating this change, starting with intentions, right? What are your intentions? How do you want to feel? What do you want your life to look like? What are your values? Really asking these questions so that we can transform and just release whatever's not aligned. Um, and so I really like this, but also coupling in each one of these pillars are going to have an activation or some sort of like healing. Also, side note, my light language opened up because again, there was room for that to come through. And so that's what else I was doing during this period was a lot of grid work and grid work meaning like light language and healing for planet Earth. Um,
Mhm.
as well as those transmissions, obviously healing myself too.
I love that. And I love that too, because then I wonder how many people will experience the shift in kind of awareness of, wow, things don't feel right. Like, for example, when they change something in like the physical, some people might find a lot of blocks in that in the beginning, or restriction to someone that is holding a lot of control or fear or resistance, right? Like I see a lot of
Yes.
people that can't do that. I'm saying like I know, physically I know people that
Yeah, yeah.
where I'm like, get it all out.
Oh, me too.
I'm in the trash. Everything's in that trash. Like there is no nothing here. Like only, limited stuff, right? It's not a junk. And clean out is good. It feels good. Some people really can't. And it's like this grass of holding on. And it doesn't mean they're hoarders, but it means like there might be a little restriction of like, what if? What if I
Hmm.
let that go? And I think that's really important actually. And it's so beneficial. Like never even really thought of how powerful that could be for someone to even experience that is on their healing or awareness into what I need to change. How to do
I
I
think
do it?
there's so much depth to, people who do hold on to a lot of things. Like with my ex-in-laws, for example, they grew up in Cuba, very impoverished. So anything they had, they held on to. And when I, joined the family, their house was so cluttered. Like it was packed with things. And I was like, this is stressing me out. How is this not stressing you out? Because I grew up, like my parents hoarded stuff. And I grew up with undiagnosed ADHD. So like my room was always packed with stuff. Like, and it was so disorganized. Like I grew up with that. And I was like, when I moved into my own space, I was like, I can't have that anymore because it drains you. It really physically drains your body. But what I realized, because I was like, why don't you just let go of things? They couldn't because there's things that is so deep ingrained in them that they don't even realize themselves that they can't even begin to let go of stuff before they approach that stuff. So I'm curious, how do you, go with people who are having like hoarder kind of issues? Like, how do you approach them to get to those deeper things before we can actually move on to actually physically removing the physical things?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I would say, first of all, that um, if you're going to take this course, you're already setting the intention that like you're allowing the help to come in. And that is step number one, right? Because we never want to impose this on somebody that's not ready. And I totally can relate to that, Ashley, because like our older generations, they grew up like my dad had like bread for dinner, right? And like they had so many kids and it's a lot of mouths to feed. They were immigrants from Italy and so they were very hardworking, and we want to respect them. We want to respect where they came from. And a lot of this is generational. And so I would just say the person coming in, they're coming in because they're desiring that help. And that is amazing. That is probably the most important step. And then from there, we dive into the healings, right? Like diving a little deeper into these generational patterns and um, like the why, so that we can bring awareness to that, to, now I understand. And now I can make a choice. Is it safe for me to release? That sounds to me like root chakra, right? So, like, we're dealing with safety. We're dealing with, I'm scared that if I let this go, it's gone forever, or, I'm not safe, or there's no getting that back. And so that's where we want to really focus in and start doing the healing. I'm like literally holding the root chakra right now. I can feel it. Like I can feel actually the healing through even talking about this, and the person listening to be like, yeah, there is hope. There is a way forward, and it doesn't have to be like that. Even if it was the program because of the circumstances that our parents and grandparents lived.
Yeah, because I think it's generational. Like, even if we ourselves don't experience that, like, it's still in our DNA. Like, we still experience that through our parents and their parents. So it's like, even if we don't think we have those blocks, deep down, there are those blocks for a lot of us that we don't even realize quite yet.
Right. Yep. And so we'll have like DNA activations and healings and all that. That's why I love this, because it takes the practical, like, and removes the shame. That's a lot of it too. It's like the shame of like, oh, how did I even let it get like this? Or it doesn't feel good. And so there's none of like, yes, there is that, but we're going to address that.
Yeah, and I think shame is like probably the root issue for almost everything. It's the root issue for addiction. It's the root issue for, a lot of, just like relationship issues. It's just the shame of being seen and showing these things that are not so great. And like, I'm obsessed with shadow work. I'm currently building my own shadow work course to, integrate like the dark feminine with shadow work. And I think for me, I've never been truly like super ashamed of things. And I think that's always been kind of something that has been a strength of mine because even if there is something I feel shameful about, I've always been able to like see, okay, this is not something that is just me alone. Everyone almost has experienced this. Like shame is not something that you are alone with. Someone has always experienced the same thing you have, and they're still lovable. They're still a good person, and it's just realizing that we have this community and we don't have to isolate ourselves and really healing that through, these kind of courses, these kind of communities that, all three of us have been building, starting to build, things like that.
Yeah, Ashley and I have helped each other on this journey for sure with finding my darkness. She was like, it was so wild too how that course, I think you were leaving the course and it was around August about last year where I started having all these experiences with the divine darkness and like Lilith. And I was like, she was my go-to. What does all this mean? What's happening to me? And then she's like, well, can you help me find my light? And I'm like, sure.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
That's why we
amazing.
created this. And that's really, at the end of the day, it's like having that duality is so important. And going back to that duality, going back to the topic of what we were speaking about, Machi, is I was curious during your crazy, right? Like the moments of feeling insane or like how you navigated the belief system. Because for me, I would experience what you were saying and I heavily relate to everything you were saying. My question would be, what was it or how did you navigate in those moments of feeling like, I see all of this and how it could play out, but I don't believe it. And I don't know how that's going to happen. In those moments, how did you like navigate that?
Yeah,
Is
it was really hard.
I know you said breath work, but I'm curious of like the mental space of it.
Yeah. Um, a couple of things happened during that time. One, I met with an old mentor when I started, like, it was like day one of me, like, oh, I'm scared. Um, And so I met with somebody that had previously known me because I'm like, I don't even know myself right now. And I was actually resistant to meeting with her because I'm like, does she just know a version of me? That's the other thing. I'm like, does she just know a version of me and that's all she's going to see? And so just like reiterate that. And so you can see like the paranoia thinking too. I'm like, is it safe for me to even meet with somebody that I've known and trusted? And so I almost canceled the meeting, but it was already in the books. And so I just went, and she basically was like, I haven't seen this side of you, but let's just take a step back. Like, what do you believe? Like, she was like just asking like very open-ended questions. And like I was just bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I don't know. And so that's when I started saying, like, I believe in my breath and I believe in the trees that I see. And I believe, and she's like, do you believe that everything is energy? And I was like, whoa, like I forgot that that was one of my beliefs. I forgot my own beliefs. And she said, why don't you try doing an energy clearing? Which I have done every single day for the past 4 years and hadn't for a week because I forgot that I even do energy clearings. And so after that, I did an energy clearing for myself. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so I just asked universe, can you help me through this? Help me. And I ended up finding, see, this like it makes me a little emotional because I feel like spirit gives you exactly what you need. And so I ended up finding a book that I co-authored the year before. And I opened up, I hadn't read it. I opened up to the one of the first paragraphs, and it literally said, in my own words, that I remember writing that I could feel love coming through what my core belief was. And that was that everything is love and everything else is basically an ask to come back to love. And so where do we need to shine more love? Even in the darkness, I believe that darkness is love, right? It's just like asking, the shame is asking, can we bring love to this situation? And so after I read that, I was like, I know that's real because that's my belief because I wrote that. And so that it was like a mix of like a trusted mentor, even though I was a little nervous to go to her, um, asking for help from spirit, and then just knowing once that help landed, like, okay, this is real. And you know what? I'm going to be doing my energy clearings from now on too,
And that's the
because
thing too, is like, yeah, that's the thing. Thank you for sharing because that's the thing too with asking for help in those moments is so important. I think most of us, I'm speaking for myself, but it was always a problem of asking, never mind physical, never mind the non-physical, for help or for I need help, right? Saying that those things made us, it's not something we were usually comfortable with doing, especially in moments of like questioning life and everything around us and an awakening. And then, of course, if you're doing energy work all the time and you're questioning it, you're going to feel kind of like in this distant space between it. So even bringing yourself back down of like, that divine timing of obviously reading that and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to find myself and come back home and doing that energy clearing and feeling that release of just trust is so huge. And it doesn't mean you have to every day step into a ritual and have it this certain way and have to meditate and you have to do this and light your sage and do all this stuff. It's so not true. And it's like that's like the least amount of things that you would want to do during those moments. It's what feels natural and right, but always find that like one or thing that can kind of stay with you, if that makes sense. And I think that we as spiritual people and workers and light workers, we do so much. And then when we feel like attached to it, if we don't, and then we don't know how to live without it, and it can
yes,
be daunting. So it's so important to exactly what you're saying, to just do the things that you were called to in those moments, if anyone is listening in a spiritual awakening, because you don't necessarily have that guidance in those moments. But I think that if you have that prepped and awareness of what how the steps work, I think it's so important and not so pushy and not so direct and need to have this done and XYZ. And it can be overwhelming too when you're kind of questioning everything, of course. But the amount of energy work and that you would just set the intention to do can be such a huge shift, during those moments of awakening in the
Yeah.
stages. And everyone's stage looks different, right? It's not one size fits all. So,
And I think you're right about like asking for help because like when we attach to a title like energy healer,
mm,
like, well then why I'm not asking for help. I never go have my own sessions, and I think that's ridiculous. Like I think it's like,
I would make sure
yes,
I
take
come to you. That was one thing. I trusted Macci through the journey, and I would come to you every, like, let's say, I don't know, every 3 or 4 months, but whenever I felt called to. And then when you were like, I'm not taking clients, I was like, can I be an exception?
I know I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now.
I was going through the same thing.
I think people forget that healers need other healers. Like I feel like there's like an almost an imposter syndrome. Like if you are a healer and you need healing yourself, like then who am I to be healing other people? But in the act of healing other people, you heal yourself. And so you need that exchange between other healers to, it's beneficial for both parties and it's necessary for both parties.
Absolutely. And I think one thing too is even being an intuitive medium, it's like, well, you should have all the answers. You should know this, right? Like, what do you mean? You should have all the, like, and that's the most frustrating thing and so inaccurate, right? As you're not supposed to. If we were supposed to, we wouldn't be living this human experience. So no, you can go to get guidance and support and mentorship through people. Like that doesn't downplay your intuitive abilities. That doesn't downplay your healing. It's imperative and important. You should be healing and you should be asking for help and you should be seeking because you do not have all the answers. And I think holding that space sometimes can, like you said, sometimes it can feed the ego and you don't know, is this actually benefiting me? Am I just giving my energy out? It's like you need to come back home and redirect that too in that space and know that you are human, know that you can come back down, know that you can ask for help, know that you can ask for guidance and that you don't have all the answers and that you're going to probably go through another awakening after you get out of this one, but who knows how long it's going to take.
I
But
know.
you still need to be aware and prepped, and that's okay. That's part of life. That's what we chose to do, right?
Like it's so hard to see our own stuff because, we're in it. Like you can't see the forest in the trees. So you need someone with that external, outlook that can be like, oh, you're blind to this. Oh, you can't see this because we get so entrenched into our own problems and it's just so hard to see outside of yourself. Like you have to have someone else who can reflect back to you. Like you need those mirrors to show you the things that you can't see or even aren't quite willing to see quite yet.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, your shadow is hiding, and if it's hiding, you can't see it. You need someone else to be able to help you and navigate that through. It's not dependent on someone, but it's assistance. It's help. It's not I need someone else to fix me. It's I'm going to have someone else guide me and assist me while I am guiding myself as well. It's like walking with someone, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
important for sure.
Mentorship is definitely important. And I actually did have a mentor.
Yeah.
It's funny too because I feel like I signed up for a mentor in January before all of this happened.
Mm.
Like
You
I
knew that.
knew.
Mhm.
And so she was amazing. She was this like 80-year-old woman. And I'm like, I freaking love you. I love you. And she was just like, she told it straight to me, like, what the F are you doing? Like she would talk to me like that. I'm like, I don't know. So it's just good to have that mirror, Ashley, right? That somebody to reflect back of like, this is what I'm seeing, and also this is what it could be, like it could be, this is how you could be living. She's like, why are you I will never forget this. She's like, all of your clients, you're signing up to feel their pain. You're literally feeling their pain. It's like you're watching a Spanish soap opera. Why are you doing that? What are you getting from that? What are you getting from that? And I was like, oh boy, I haven't thought of that before. I just thought I was helping. So she would ask these questions that made me think, yeah, what am I attached to? What am I getting from all of this pain? Because it was some of the worst stories. We all have stories, but it was like the darkest.
And that's why I remember talking to you about this briefly, and I happened to tell you and mention like something about a shaman, being a shaman, and I really truly believe you were holding space as like a shaman would. You were, and it's not obviously intuitive healers, yes, but it was like a deeper, I feel you literally would carry the pain for them. And when I'd see your healings, and I'm like, she's a shaman. Like, I don't know, I kept on saying that in my head, but I know that it's not like it's not you, if that makes sense, but the way that it was in that space, it seemed very shaman-like because they are that light, they are that transmute, they do connect in that deep level. They are feeling everyone's energy and pain and suffering, and they are that vessel. um where I don't know, I felt that when I saw what you were going or transitioning going through. So, and what you just said right now made me think it even more with what that
Yeah.
was.
I mean, she said the same thing. The first meeting, she doesn't know me. She was like, "Oh, I see a shaman's mask." And I
Mhm.
know this. I know this about myself. I know, like, I could feel like that Native American presence. Like, I've seen hatchets, I've used them, like, I've done it. And I'm like, is this? I think the next iteration is like, yes, and like, empower the client to hold their hatchet. Like, I
But
feel
you're
like
not
there's a
going to be
way.
doing it for them so much. You're empowering them
Yes,
to be able to transmute on their own and do that
yes.
themselves. And that is why I say this to you, because there's definitely a difference in that intuitive healer where you're assisting, coaching, and helping, but you're also letting them be aware of their own shit, right? So then they can bring in the light and they can transmute it too. But I think the space, as you're saying, the healing and the energy of the shaman came through tenfold for you, and you just needed to redirect it. And your guides and your higher self know, you already know every plan that you're doing and every step. And you're always like, oh yeah, I knew this, but you know,
Yeah, and I loved it. I loved it
yeah,
until it was like time for the next.
yeah,
So here we are, the 9-9 portal,
I know.
stepping into the next version.
So I want to ask you a question. What is one piece of spiritual advice that you would give to your younger version?
Okay. I would say, girl, we need to like first start with root chakra. I know that you are very resistant. I didn't even like going outside. I'm like, I was not, that tells you something. I'm like, I don't want to be outside. I want to like root chakra because guess what? We're living here on Earth, right? And so it's fun to ride on a Pegasus all over and be in like the crystal castles. That's fun. Um, but I think it's like integration. So I don't know. I think I let myself have fun during those times. Maybe I wouldn't say anything. I would just say, you just do you. I know you. You want to experience everything, but there's going to be a point where we're going to integrate this. And and you're safe. No matter what you choose,
Yeah.
you're protected.
And I want to ask you two more questions. I'm going to ask you, what is your why? What is your reason? I feel like you probably touched on it, but if you wanted to add on to that, what is your reasoning and your intention and your why to really what you're doing in your mission?
I honestly feel like I want to be a channel of divine love. I want people to remember their essence, that they are love, that they're made of love. And if they're made of love, they can do anything. Like sky's not even the limit. I want people like you only have, I say you only have this one time on Earth, but like now, right? Like there may be other iterations happening at the same time or whatever, but like right now, if we stay present to now, it is your birthright to live a life that you love. And so I want them to really own that and take accountability in the most loving way possible for their life and know that they signed up for this. How do I say this? Because I feel like that could come off like I didn't sign up for this. I didn't, but like that's where we're taking accountability of like bringing love back to every part of ourself, to the whole part of ourself, and then creating from that space.
I love that. I think it's very important, and we did come here, right, to experience it, and we did sign up to it. And it just might not be in this physical body. It's going to be a different one, right? Or whatever, past in the past.
Right. Yeah.
So, with that being said, I want to just, if you could share where the listeners can find you, if you have your information, website,
Yeah.
we will post it. But I just wanted to close with that. If you wanted to share where you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, you can head over to Instagram at Macci, Macci 07. And that's where I'm keeping all of my, like I do activations and just more information about how you can work closer with me.
Great. I love that. So, Ashley, did you have any more questions before we close?
Um, I just wanted to ask, you mentioned your program has 7 pillars of
Mhm.
activation, I think you said. What are those?
Let me get back to you at those because I am literally creating everything as of it's all happening so fast. This is why I feel like we can collapse timelines. My daughter just turned 5 and so I've been with her, all of this time. That's where my energy has been going. Last Wednesday, she went to kindergarten. So all of this time has opened, what is it, just like 4 working days now? But so much is coming in. But I really want to just present it when it's like fully complete, which I feel like won't be that long.
Yeah,
Love it.
you gotta go with how it feels and let that flow naturally. And things take time to cultivate. And yeah,
We're there though. We're almost there. It's
yeah,
happening.
Yeah, I'm
totally
excited
understand.
to see.
Thank you.
All right,
It
well,
looks like
we'll
I'm in
talk
heaven
soon.
over here.
Thank you
Hold on.
so much
It's
for coming, Machi, and joining. And I know you look like angelic light over
here we go.
there.
I don't know, it's not work. All right,
No,
let me just float
there's
off.
I know, I was gonna say now there's a beam of light to your right or left
So
coming
funny.
through. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That
Well, it's
this
so
is the
nice having
duality.
you, and I love seeing you. It's been so long, and I appreciate all of your vulnerability and sharing all the information. And yeah, we love it.
Thank you both. This was
Thank you for
fun.
coming. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.